and welcome to Wires from the Deep, a Silo series podcast. Today is Saturday, June 17, 2023, and you're listening to episode 10, The Silo Always Wins. I am your host, Crystal, here with my co-host, Kelly.
Hey, everyone.
So today we're going to be breaking down Silo episode 8, Hanna, but before we get to that, we just want to say that, yay, Apple announced that they have officially renewed Silo for season 2.
They did. It's very exciting.
Yeah.
I had no doubt. I wasn't worried.
So that means we're going to have a season 2 of Wires from the Deep, so woohoo!
You haven't officially asked me yet.
Oh,
I might be very busy.
Do I need to ask you? Oh.
No, not really.
But yeah, I mean, congratulations to us too, because we reached 5,000 downloads this past week, so wow.
5,000.
Yeah. So thank you everyone for listening to us.
Yeah, thank you everyone.
All right, so let's get to the breakdown. This week, we got to see a lot about Hanna Nichols, which is Juliet's mom. And we start by seeing her dealing drugs in the cornfield.
Does she, get those from her husband?
No, okay, so I had seen, because, I mean, we're going to get to this later, but later on, Jules sees, her file, and, I've talked about how in Discord we look at high-res screenshots and stuff. We looked at that file, and Hanna is a surgeon, so she works in medical too.
Oh, I thought she was just stay-at-home mom or something.
No, I guess that explains a lot about why she's so good at fixing the rabbit and stuff.
But I thought maybe after the kids were born, she just stayed at home. She obviously was very talented or something.
She has medical expertise. So I guess that must be why.
So that's where she got them. Okay.
Yeah. Dealing.
I wonder what they consider hard stuff in the silo.
I don't know, but
maybe he needs it for his mom or something.
That goes back to something I had been wondering before, because Gloria in the long-term care place, she's in a drug-induced haze, and they show the bottle, and she's on the Razapam, and they must do they have a pharmaceutical level where they manufacture all these drugs? I mean,
maybe we really haven't, reached the depths of the silo. Maybe under mechanical. It's just keeps going.
It's just it doesn't surprise me that somehow Big Pharma has made it into the silo.
I don't know. So what do you think she gave him?
I don't know. I mean, I don't know. One of my editor friends is a former pharmacy technician, so maybe I can ask her.
What does that look like?
Yeah, what does that look like to you? What are the odds of what these are? But yeah, so she trades all of those drugs, which I'm assuming are actually kind of valuable.
I don't know what's valuable on the show anymore.
For one sick rabbit, and she wants, I guess, to experiment on the rabbit. Maybe not experiment, but try to fix the rabbit.
I'm really, really perplexed by this, and maybe I should save this for later. But a rabbit who she just happens to assume has a hole in its heart. This was so perplexing to me. Are there signs and symptoms of?
We were talking about this a little in Discord too, and people were saying how if it had a heart defect, it might be tired and lethargic. I don't know. I mean, we used to raise
lethargic.
we used to raise bunnies and stuff, and I guess
that's right.
Yeah, but when there's too much inbreeding, they can be born.
If one of your rabbits was lethargic, you'd be hole in the heart, right?
Yeah, I think it's one of those TV things where you have to be yeah, okay.
I know, but this is a podcast, so I have to write that shit down.
But yeah, so one small detail that I liked in this part is she has a nickname for Jules, and she calls her Bean.
I love Bean.
Yeah.
That's really cute.
That was cute. Then the show takes us to Gloria, and she gets visited by Sims, and I was creeped out by this scene, for up and down reasons. I guess she wants to be medicated. She wants to be able to dream about the beach and everything, and the ocean.
They seem to be able to create some sort of euphoric dreamland for them.
Yeah,
which I find, or I don't know if it's just particular to her, but they seem to know, what she's what kind of state she's in.
Yeah. So this is right after Jules has gotten away with the hard drive, and I guess they had questioned her already, but she didn't want to tell them anything. But then he comes in, and she remembers him, and she remembers helping him and his wife. And we've seen Sims with his wife and his little boy in a previous episode. And then Gloria remembers that she had given the wife folic acid. And for those who don't know, folic acid is a vitamin that pregnant women take.
It's in every prenatal.
Yeah, it's a prenatal.
It's so odd to me because I had pictured Gloria like this pagan old lady who's doing like weirdo stuff with herbs, and she's giving them like tea with folic acid in it. Like they have like a pharmaceutical company.
Yeah, but I mean, I guess it must just be because you can get folic acid through food, but I don't know if it's as efficient. So maybe like she just, I don't know. And it's weird too because she said she was a fertility counselor, but I guess she also just in general helps people with their pregnancies. I don't know. I kind of thought that maybe she would have been like a doula, not a fertility
like that,
counselor,
like a midwife type person.
Yeah.
I wonder if people in the silo have very specific like mineral deficiencies that they have to.
I mean, they must, right? Yeah.
Maybe folic acid is one of them.
I mean, who knows what they teach them, right? They can teach them wherever they want.
I know. That's
so like the Sims and Gloria thing was kind of touching because he does seem genuinely grateful that she helped them conceive or see, because I guess the wife had a miscarriage before.
Right. He seems genuinely grateful.
Yeah. And then he tells her that if she doesn't cooperate, he'll just leave her in an unmedicated state in the room. It's like, dude.
So he's like not so grateful, right?
Yeah. Right. And then Gloria, okay, so this part I was a little sad about is that Gloria does tell him what Jules had. She basically gives him what he wants.
Okay, but see, I don't know if I like know that for sure because I mean obviously he knows what's in the bag, but like it's weird because like we see him ask what was in the bag and then they cut away and then he's telling the nurse to give her the good stuff, but just the way he says it, I don't know what that means, like give her the good stuff. It was really creepy. I was like, did you just like put her to sleep or something? I don't know.
I know. That's what I thought too. But then like when I looked at it, when I watched it again, he's like telling her every day, give her the good stuff or something.
I thought he was like saying that to make it more believable to this woman that's being put to sleep.
Okay. Yeah, that's true.
I looked at my dog and I was like, Temple, that's what the big needle looks like.
Yeah. I mean, it totally crossed my mind. I was just like, is the good stuff code? And
right?
And is Nurse Amy just like this nefarious?
Like the way they nodded at each other too, it was like, I don't know.
Here we go.
We're probably reading too much into it. If Howie were on here, he'd be like, guys, it was just the good stuff.
Probably.
For real.
But so you make a good point though. Like, what could she have told him that he probably didn't already know? Right?
Like he knew that it was that hard drive.
Yeah.
And maybe she didn't tell him. Like maybe she lied to him, and so
Yeah, maybe he was just trying to determine like what he was gonna have done to her based on whatever he asked and what she said. Yeah. So maybe it didn't really have anything to do with her.
Or maybe she's like back in dreamland, man. Maybe she's like back in dreamland on the beach that she can't hear. There's enough.
Yeah. So then they show like Jules is actually hiding in the nursery in the dark, and it's funny because these judicial people aren't very good at searching. I mean, if you're really looking if you're looking for someone, I don't know, do you care if there are babies in there? Just go look behind the desk.
Also, what kind of situation is this for the babies? They seem to just be like left in there on their backs like all the time. It's completely odd for a nursery.
I mean, to me, it's weirder that it's so dark in there because I thought that they usually have, because whenever I see, the lights are on because like
no, that's just when they're sleeping.
So they can't find her. She just sits at the desk that she was hiding behind, and she plugs it in, and she can't access it. And then she looks at the lamp, and that flashes her back to the past, where with her mom, and they show the mom with her magnifier, which actually looked really cool.
It did look really cool when she was like putting it together later. I was like, whoa, I want one of those.
Yeah. It's funny too because in the past, I think I had thought that they called her device the rabbit. Do you recall that?
The rabbit?
Yeah, because when she first mentioned her, she was like, oh, she was talking to Martha, and she said, so one of them mentioned, oh, like the device that your mother made, and she said the rabbit. And I don't know if now they called the magnifier the rabbit or if they were just talking about
like referencing
the incident with the rabbit. So yeah, I was a little confused about that. But yeah, so she says that her magnifier is the first one in the silo.
Maybe that was just like the code they talked about it, used to talk about the thing itself, like even like with her mom or so, because they couldn't talk about like the magnifier.
Yeah, maybe it's too dangerous. So then it goes to the morning time, and Billings is calling Jules on the radio and telling her to come to the office. And she goes up there, and which is funny because the timeline in this episode is all like crazy.
It is,
because I think she's down on 62, and so she has to go up to the top, and like on like I think the first floor. So she's gonna have to travel 62 floors to go find Judicial searching the sheriff's department. So she does that, and that's like
a really good point. That's very
like half the silo. Yeah, so I'm gonna go into more of this later too, because there's a bunch of timeline stuff that just didn't add up really.
I think I just started like not even thinking about the like how far it's, because it happens so quickly. It just
this is I mean,
doesn't seem to slow her down any.
I'm gonna harp on it, but at the same time, I just want people to know that I just like let it go. I do want to point it out that it was really weird this episode, because she seems to just hop all over the silo. But yeah, because she falls asleep on, I think, 62, which is where the nursery is, and she goes up to 1, and she finds Judicial trashing the sheriff's department. There are a couple of interesting parts about this, because during the search, Billings tells her that Meadows ordered a search for unregistered relics, and that's what they're searching for. And at one point... So at one point, Billings yells, "Hey, take it easy, Howie!" And people thought that was funny because, I mean, obviously, because it's Hugh's last name, right? But
oh yeah,
but yeah. So when they're searching Judicial, she flashes back to when Judicial is tearing apart her family's apartment. Right, they're looking for the magnifier or the rabbit, whatever we're gonna call it. And then this was.
Go ahead. Sorry.
No, go.
No, I was just like about to say it was so funny. It was just like sitting there on the floor. It like picks it up.
I know.
Like, oh.
And I thought it looked like the Tower of Sauron too. It was like this little statue, and it has like this little black fingers at the top.
They would have never found that. I don't think they would have ever been. They wouldn't have known what that was. I don't think they seem really not very bright.
Yeah, they seem like just like brutes. They're the brute squad.
Well, they were there to smash everything up anyway. So I guess if they smashed everything up, then
speaking of smashing, someone I don't know if it was Reddit or Discord, but they noticed that they threw the chair and they broke a chair, and that's the chair that Jules fixes in like the previous episode. Yeah, I totally didn't pick up on that, but there were a lot of like really sad parts about this scene, because Hanna accuses her husband of ratting her out. She's sure that like she only spoke to that only Jules and he knew what she was doing, but he like tries to tell her, like she wasn't being very subtle about it. But he says something weird. He says something about Juliet's room, and he doesn't get to finish his sentence. I wasn't sure. Did you notice that?
I did notice that. I think he was just saying like if they're not going to stop there, they're going to go into her room. Maybe we should like spare her.
Yeah.
Like, I mean, that's the most obvious answer, of course, but I didn't think it was implying something else. I don't know.
So why do you think they were in their rooms while they searched? Do you think like they just didn't want them around so that they wouldn't hide anything?
I thought that was odd. First I thought it was just Juliet, in her room, but then like her parents were just next door. It just seemed very odd that they wouldn't at least like watch or.
And she could hear everything too.
Yeah.
But yeah,
another funny TV show choice.
But yeah, and then she comes on and she does the assembly thing. It looked like toys. It's like an erector set kind of thing, right? The pieces,
like she had just
strips with the holes
together from everything.
Yeah. It looked like an eyeglass lens too.
Mm-hmm.
Although I don't know what that there was like a gold thing where she could look through at the top, and that seemed to have it kind of looked like a telescope piece,
Yeah.
Like the tip of a telescope.
It was funny because all this time I had been thinking that she had really gotten some like hardcore magnification going, but it seemed very basic, like what they were able to see, like when they zoomed in on the rabbit's heart. I was like, oh, okay. So
I don't know. It seemed like she just got a bunch of lenses and just stacked them all up and had them in a certain. So then Judicial smashes the magnifier, and then they demand the rabbit. And I didn't understand why the rabbit was important. Like, why was it enough where if she gave the rabbit up, that they would drop the charges on the farmer? And I guess the only thing I could think of was that they had known that she cured the rabbit, and they didn't want her to have proof. Yeah, proof that she was able to do it.
But I mean, they accepted so easily that it had died. So maybe they're just like not allowed to have like food animals as pets, or maybe. I mean, my guess is just that they didn't know if it worked or not, and if it had, I guess that would have been proof that she had achieved something, and that's what they didn't want, and they just didn't think to question it further. I really have no idea. I mean, they probably had no idea what she was even doing with the rabbit.
Yeah, they don't even look like they know what a magnifier does. He just looks like he wants to smash something.
That's what I got out of it. I don't know.
He doesn't look very bright.
They just follow orders, you know, like obviously Sims probably understands. I don't know.
Yeah, so then they cut back to the present, and Paul calls the judicial security people overcompensating fuckwads. And I love this moment because like Jules looks at him like, what? he gives her that what I cuss. It's very cute. Another Paul Billings moment to add to the list of reasons why we love him.
Yeah.
But then she reveals to him that she thinks that Sims is controlling Meadows, and he just kind of like tingled my suspicions because he calls him Robert instead of Sims. And it kind of sounded like he's my friend kind of thing, you know. Robert?
I kind of have been getting that weird vibe from them. I don't know. I think they kind of are friends.
Yeah, because I mean, there was that scene back in a previous episode where when he first started working in the sheriff's department, he went to go talk to him in his office on his first day, right?
Yeah, right. Well, at least what we learned about Sims at the end of the episode at least makes me feel better about how I've been feeling about Sims, which is sort of he's like the fake power guy, which he's obviously not the fake power guy, but he's not like the power guy. Because if it would have been like that, I would have felt a little betrayed, you know. But
so he says that Sims is not the guy who he thinks is in control because he enforces the pact. But what does that... I don't understand why that would be a reason why it can't be him. Is it because all the things that have been... because everything is... like all of it is illegal, right?
Or whatever.
Yeah, okay.
I mean, like, he does enforce the pact, but, like, he makes, like, these... Like, was going and getting folic acid? Was that breaking the pact? You know, like, is seeing that woman...
Yeah, I don't know.
So
then they cut to Sims, mad at his new Doug, who is just as dumb as Doug. Because he brings him a stapler.
That made me laugh extra hard because we had graduation at my school last night, and my director, who's like my favorite person in the world, he's retiring, and he used that line from Office Space where he was like, "They said I could keep this stapler." Just showed up in the show. I was laughing really hard. No, I like Sims being like, "Does this look like a hard drive to you?" I don't know. Sims is very particular about what he puts in his little special closet.
He like totally flung that stapler at the wall, and it ricocheted back and almost hit the guy, you know?
That was not intentional either. He's like, it's just, we have to keep going with it, you know?
Yeah.
Good times.
Yeah. It's funny you mentioned Office Space because have I mentioned to you before that I saw in a screenshot on the hard drive that there's TPS reports on that hard drive?
No.
Yeah. It's totally got to be intentional, right?
Probably. Anyway, I liked the part where Sims got arrested. That was fun.
Yeah, I especially liked it because Jules did it with her like little pack bot next to her. she's like, Billings.
Yeah,
he just recites.
And he's like a little golden retriever. He's like, yes, you are the boss. I have to do this. He can't. There's nothing he can do. He's a robot.
I joked during the watch party that he's Wiki Pactia.
Wiki Pactia.
But Sims mocks, I guess, all the... remember, he's won pack competitions. He called them Pact Bees.
That's not a very... You could come up with a better pun. Pact Bees?
Pact Bees.
Like a spelling bee?
I guess. Why are they called spelling bees anyway?
I don't fucking know. I really have no idea.
So, I mean, you knew it was coming as soon as she's like waiting for him to pack up her stuff. That she's like totally gonna do her own illegal search right there. And sure enough,
it was very good too.
Yeah. And
although I hate when she like wastes time like staring at the cover of folders and stuff. I'm like, just open it. Just like, time is money. Keep going.
I know. You're just like, oh my God, they're gonna come and catch you any second now. What are you doing?
Oh, I'm just, having a flashback, disassociating while I look at this folder, for fuck's sake,
But yeah, so she finds 3 files. She finds the one on her mom, which is obviously the important one, but she also finds one on Martha and on Shirley. Which I was surprised by. Shirley is her friend on a mechanical.
Yeah, I know.
Yeah, so I was just like, why are they?
I knew there was more to Shirley.
Okay, so some of the details I had mentioned that we watched this, we looked at the screenshot for this, and so it turns out that Hanna died 5 months after Jacob, at least as far as we can tell. And like I said, we saw that she's a surgeon. And then Jules turns the page over and she looks completely shocked at what she sees on the back of the first page. So what do you think that was? It must have been photos, right?
I guess so, because she goes on to tell her dad like how she knows that they were watching her and recording her and like seeing everything.
I don't think she would have like reacted like that so quickly if it was just like
they must be able to put like screenshots of those videos into files.
Yeah. So it must have been like a shot of their apartment, and maybe Jules was in it too, and she saw a picture of herself with her mom and the rabbit, maybe. And I guess it must have been from wherever. I actually have to go look back. I don't know where their mirror is in their house. So then right after that, Jules goes to see her dad. And oh my God, this part of the episode made me cry.
It did me too a little, actually. I was surprised. And I kind of felt bad that I thought he was such a creep earlier. But I really did think he was such a creep.
I know. I mean, I think it was intentional. They like wanted us to think that, oh my God, he like totally just dumped his girl in mechanical and just left her there. And so I guess it worked because I felt terrible because he reveals that like, you know, he drew inward when Jacob died and she drew outward and she did dangerous things and that's why he left Jules in mechanical, was because he wanted to, I guess he felt it was a way to keep her safe, because she'd be too busy, I guess, working to have to think about things like bigger questions, and yet she was doing it 20 years later. Anyway,
and maybe he like really did fear her turning out like her mother.
Yeah.
And she obviously sort of has. So it's like one of those, you know, he probably regrets. Like he made a choice so that she wouldn't, but she did anyway. So was it all worth it? And, you know, all that.
Yeah. But then she tells him about the cameras, and oh my God, it was so emotional to just watch how like it all came together in his mind. You know, like he finally had an explanation, and
and that's like a long time to live with something like.
Yeah,
that's a long time. Like how old did you say Jules is?
She's okay. So I figured it out based on I think Hannah's file. And Jules is 34.
That sounds right.
But yeah, so. Like you think back to like everything and how deeply the silo has destroyed their family. I mean, the rules made it so that she couldn't save her son, and then they destroyed her thing so she couldn't help other children, save other parents from the same kind of tragedy, and then. So he loses his son, and then he loses his wife, and then he loses his daughter because she just.
It's a complete disaster. And all this time, I just keep thinking about this stupid magnifier and why what is it? What is the magnification? What's the problem? Do you know what I mean? I don't understand. Whenever they were looking at in the very like first episode or second episode, whichever it was, where she and George were. They had the hard drive. There was something that came up with the magnification then, where he was like looking at something on the hard drive itself.
No, I think you're thinking of Tim and Jules. I think was it the watch? We were talking about how she made her own device probably to fix the watch.
This was something to do with the hard drive for sure. Maybe I'm just
okay.
I'll if it comes to me.
I think people have been speculating that they don't want people to be able to create some kind of device to see outside, like a telescope kind of thing.
That does make sense. But but like to see in a space or to see further past whatever the heck they can see on their screens, you think?
I don't know, because it's confusing, because if they can, because going back to that glitch, people always go back to the glitch. Like obviously they can just put wherever, I mean, that glitch reveals that they can put whatever they want on that screen, right? So I mean, are they even broadcasting what's outside? And so if that's the case, if they can cover it up, then why would they need to?
Why would it matter?
Prevent?
Well, I just like Googled it. Well, not Googled it. I looked in the transcript document, and it was an episode 1, Freedom Day, and it was this very short little blurb. They were in George's shop. They're looking at the hard drive, and she says, "Is any idea what the 18 means?" And he says, and she asks, "Oh, it's Allison. That's why."
Yeah, Allison.
I'm sorry,
she asked, "Do you have anything stronger?
Do you have a magnifying glass?" And they're like, "What were they? Were they just trying to read something on the?"
Oh, actually, you know what else it could be? Going back to the camcorder, you know how Martha was talking about how the parts are a lot smaller? Maybe they don't want people to be able to make higher tech, you know?
Maybe.
Like, I don't know. I'm not a tech person, so. But like all those parts are. Maybe I'm assuming the more compacted and high tech it is, it gets smaller. So I don't know. We'll just have to see. But yeah, so going back to the Nichols, though, like it's just like we've been going back and forth, right, about whether Hanna Nichols killed herself. Like at first,
Hanna Nichols definitely killed herself.
Yeah, we know now. Yeah, but like before we thought, oh, maybe she got killed by judicial because of the magnifier. But now it just seems like she just they because he says that they crushed her spirit when they destroyed the magnifier. Because and if you think about it from her perspective, she's lost her son. She thought that she had a way to save other sons like her own, and they just smashed it, right?
Yeah.
And on top of that, she thinks that her husband has betrayed her, right?
Yeah, man, but like she had a daughter, and that's a choice, and I can't imagine that feels good for Juliet. Like, your magnifying glass was smashed, but and she knew that the dad was like pulling away and being weird, so like she knew what she was leaving Juliet with.
Yeah.
So kind of made me feel shitty about her, to be honest.
Yeah, I think though, it's also possible that she just felt that Juliet would have been better off without her. I don't know.
Yeah, I mean, of course, depression leads you to think that. I'm not like judging her. Like, well, I was judging her, but I mean, I just mean like we don't know her story, but
yeah,
sad for Juliet, I guess.
Yeah, Juliet's the loser no matter how you cut it.
Yeah.
Especially since she works in mechanical, and Hank has said it himself. She dedicates her life to keeping the silo alive.
Right.
She keeps the generator running, so she's doing all this. She's providing all this power to Bernard and janitorial and Sims. She helps all these people, and yet this is what she's gotten in thanks, right? Mm-hmm. She's gotten her whole family torn apart, and she lost her mother and her brother, and now she's. It sucks.
I think it happens to people a lot in life where they like put their whole heart into something and work for something, and then they find out like it was all like a lie or like for not, you know what I mean? Like that's an awful feeling.
Yeah. Yeah. And it can be something that you just throw you into a funk that you just can't get out of, right? So, all right. So, and then Jules is trying to go to the down deep. So she tells her dad that she's going to go down to Martha to try to get her to open the hard drive. And she says that she'll be there. So this is more timeline stuff. She says that she can be there by 6. And I looked at the clock on the wall behind Pete, and it was almost 10 o'clock. I'm assuming 10 o'clock in the morning because she had gotten up. She had woken up and gone. Although, see, that's not enough time for her to wake up and go to jujitsu and come back down. But anyway, she runs into a checkpoint. And so she has to, she can't go to the down deep. Although I don't know why she didn't just like barrel her way down. But then, so I was wondering, like, where does she go after that? Because then they go to Sims in holding. He's trying to convince the deputies about using the radio. And then Billings is, okay, so this is another, like, timestamp is Billings goes home and he's home for dinner.
Right.
So it's evening time. And then they show Martha in the down deep, and it's 7 p.m. and there's no Jules, so she's worried. And oh my gosh, she is brave enough to try to go outside. So that, I think, confirms that she's definitely agoraphobic, right?
Yes, definitely.
Yeah, it's not like a hermit kind of thing where she just doesn't want to see people. She's just actually really scared to go outside. So
yeah, I think one thing can lead to another. Like if you like spend so much time not going outside, then you have that, you like acquire that, just gets worse and worse. It just feeds itself.
Although it was really deserted in the hallways for 7 p.m. I guess maybe people might have been eating or something.
Yeah.
But yeah, I think it probably would have been worse for her if like she went outside and there was like people everywhere. Or do you think it's more like, I don't know, what is the scary part of agoraphobia? Is it the outdoors, or is it the people, or is it both?
I think it's probably the people, and just knowing that at any moment you could just like run into someone. But I think that fear, I guess I don't really know for sure.
Yeah, it must have to do with like her safe space and being out of it, because there's nobody around and she's still scared, right?
So. Well, I think we all kind of had some of that like during COVID, like when we were quarantining. And then, I mean, I know for me, like going to the grocery store has always given me like anxiety. Like I have several times in my life like abandoned my cart and just left because there were too many people. And I think like COVID made that worse because then you're like worrying about germs or people coughing and every people like wearing their masks. And I don't know, it was a little harder for me after like people took their masks off to like start going back. So
yeah, me too. But yeah, so it's 7 p.m. and then they finally reveal where Jules is. She sends a message to Lucas, who is in the cafeteria mapping stars. She sends a message by Porter and tells him to come to her apartment. Right. Like, what is he thinking when he gets this note, right?
Probably sex, but I don't know, right? Like, I don't know.
I mean, he must have, right?
It's a very specific time for sex, like 6:13. It's like...
Oh, no. 6:13 is her apartment number.
Oh!
So I guess Jules went from 62 and climbed all the way back up to her apartment. And then she sends Lucas a note. I guess he must just be there.
Why would she do that after telling her dad that she could be at Martha's by 6?
Oh, because she got stopped at the checkpoint.
Is there like no other way down?
Yeah, that's what I thought. You know, like, why didn't she just, like, I don't know, push her way past those people?
Now that makes a little more sense in my brain, but not a lot.
I guess it's hard to,
I'll buy
push
it, whatever.
Yeah. I think we just gotta let that go.
Yeah, it's fine.
But yeah, so she does the Gloria thing. She turns on the water, and she shows him the drive. And Lucas tells her that she probably does have access, but she needs to use a certain computer.
Right.
And then, like, she starts telling him all the stuff that she's found out, right, about George and John's and Martin's and like all panicking. This big stuff. Yeah, and then he's like, "Oh, but who's George?" It's like, yeah, dude. And then that's
the big question, right?
She snaps at him. I don't have time for this. And I was just like, yeah, you don't. Like, what the hell is he honing in on that for?
I know.
She's just dropped a bunch of bombs on him, and he's just like, "Oh, is he your ex?"
It's just so ridiculous. I know. And I was like, okay, fine, let's move on. I know.
Like, dude, Jesus she just Christ. Told you he's dead.
I don't think he even bought that or caught that. Like, it was like a passing for him. Just the name George just blew up his little brain cells. So he lost some points there with me. It was really weird.
Yes, definitely with me too. I was like, man, come on, focus here.
Yes.
She's obviously highly stressed. You're gonna go and like give her a hard time about her boyfriend.
Yeah.
But then so she smashes the mirror and she yanks out the camera, and he's like really scared at this point, right?
Yeah. Well, who can blame him? It wasn't even like that he was like, "Who's George?" He was really rude about it. Like he was like accused her of using him. Like he immediately thought this was some like betrayal thing.
Yeah, so but strange. I mean, I don't know, but I guess it must just not have been processing for him because she had already told him that it was all connected to all these murders. Yeah, I think she was just overwhelming him. But oh my god, when he's like holding the camera and he's like shocked that like these are in our homes. Yeah. And like he's probably thinking about like all the implications
all the stuff he's done. Like everyone would be thinking like, what have I done and knowing someone just like watching you all the time, that's horrifying.
But so he basically won't help her, right? Which made me wonder, like, oh my god, they like been building up to like Lucas being like this IT guy she knows, and
it makes me think he must save the day later because like otherwise, what's the point?
This is like the point where like
he must be a hero at some point,
right? This has to like be like starting his redemption arc because he doesn't he doesnn't help her.
Yeah. And he's like, my mom. She's like, your mom? Like, who the fuck cares about your mom? I didn't even know you had a mom. Like, yeah.
Oh, yeah. Jesus. She, like, put a lot of scorn into that. Like, your mom.
Like, my mom is dead. I don't know.
And then she runs, and he barely gets away. And so I just couldn't help thinking, like, oh, my God, he is screwed because she had put a blanket over the mirror. And she pulled it down, so they must have seen him.
I wonder, right? Like if they're trying to make us think that they didn't see him, they just saw her, like where they were standing, because like they run right past him, and it was like seconds ago. Like they knew who he was, they know who he is.
No. But I said that too. But my husband said that it's because if those people were already on their way up to her before he got there, then maybe they didn't know that they should detain him too, and they just thought he was some guy walking in the hallway.
Yeah, maybe that's possible. But these people have like radios, right? Isn't that the whole point of the radio? Yeah, is it just like Martha's radio or whatever?
It doesn't seem like those judicial raiders carry radios, or maybe only the leader does. I don't know, but yeah. He gets away though.
Yeah, he does, because no radios, I guess.
So that's on 6. And then they show her stuck at another checkpoint. And this is on level 30 because I saw it on the sign on the staircase. So she ran down 24 floors to get to this point. And I don't know what she was going to do this time because, I mean, maybe she thought because it was later, they would have stopped the checkpoints by then, but they didn't. And I was really amused by this part where, like, you know, Bernard comes up to her and he's like, says, "Oh, she's with me," and then the lady stops him too. Oh no, you're questioning the mayor too. That was amusing.
Sorry, I can't laugh about that guy. Fuck that guy.
Yeah, so he's revealed to be the big bad guy, right? Yeah, he's the big bad wolf. He takes her down to the farm level to a cornfield, and he messes up, and he reveals that he knows what they're looking for. That there's a hard drive. So did you see that coming, or
did I see that coming? No, not really. No, I thought that her like knowing her way around that cornfield was like gonna get her out of that situation. And as far as Bernard, no. I kind of like that guy. So, but I like that. You know, I like that because after like last episode and this one, I thought that Sims had way more power than he has, and obviously he's some sort of second in command, but he's not like the criminal mastermind.
Yeah,
so that's what I couldn't buy, was that it was just like Sims, you know.
Yeah, but did you suspect Bernard at all?
I don't think so. No, I don't have any memory of like being like, oh, he's kind of.
That's awesome. See,
I thought he was kind of a dip.
See, because it's hard for me to like. I have pre-knowledge, right, of certain things. I've always told you that I don't know what they're changing, but like this is one thing that I didn't. I was super confident that they were not going to change, and that he was going to be the mastermind behind it all, basically.
Yeah, and so no, it was really well done. I was too busy, like, I don't know, just trying to like picture what's going on outside or like what Sims is doing. And then I tried to think of like who was actually. I thought it was a mystery person that we hadn't seen yet, to be honest. Because they kept talking about that guy that visited them like in the dark and like whispered things. Is that supposed to be Bernard? Like, I'm really having a hard time believing.
Yeah,
like, his name is Bernard.
I'm still confused about that too. I actually think it's Sims, the man who comes in there, because it just seems more like his style.
That seems like an ego stroking thing, to be like all in black and be like murmuring things in the dark, you know. Yeah, that seems more Sims thing.
Okay, so that actually reminds me, you know the part where they have Jules like on the ground and she's like got her hands behind her back and Sims leans over her. Oh my god, that was so creepy. He's like whispering in her ear, "I told you would regret."
Yeah, he's a fuck.
Yeah, so yeah, that totally gave me like man who comes into people's apartments at night kind of vibe. So I think it's him.
He's a creep.
I don't think it's Bernard. Bernard probably just goes to sleep at night, you know.
Yeah, remember? Yeah, when they were like, "Should we wake him up?" He's like a loser, but he's in charge, so whatever. Just having a nap. I hate all these people now. Except Juliet.
I actually found like, so, you know, like Jules is like coming to the realization that, oh my god, the person controlling metals is Bernard. Oh my god. And then they show Sims in the background coming out of the cornfield all ominous.
Yeah, I know. You know.
I don't think it was supposed to be comical, but I just thought it was, just because he just looked like I don't know, people
There's
have been
something about him that it comes off as humorous, and that's why I keep like joking about, I don't know, like his pest collection and stuff, just because there's something that, you know.
A lot of people have been complaining on Reddit about his leather jacket. They don't understand why he has the only leather jacket in the style.
That's really funny.
But yeah, just him walking out in the background. I was like, oh my god.
Oh well.
But then Bernard makes the claim that Jules says that she wants to go outside, and Sims backs it up, and I guess that goes back all the way back to, I think we talked about it, right? About how Paul had said that you can request a hearing if you feel that you've been misheard. Mm-hmm. So I guess that was them long time ago setting up the detail that this can happen, right? So
God, imagine it must just happen all the time to like anyone that they want to get rid of
in like a petty squabble, right?
Yeah,
like if Regina didn't like
it, must be like. Imagine like in school, like imagine like your bully is like, oh, he said he wanted to go outside, I heard him, you know. It's kind of shit kids do.
Yeah, I think it's also like anybody can just get mad and do it, you know. They must have staircase rage, right? Oh my god.
Or like drinking, does it, like if you're drunk and you like, imagine the bullshit that comes out of your mouth when you're
Yeah, that's probably why they put that in. But then yeah, it becomes really important here because she
right.
So I don't know if you're a Star Trek fan, but Bernard basically paraphrases Spock.
Does he? No, I wouldn't know.
He says the needs
of the many, that quote?
Yeah, he says the needs of the many require the sacrifices of the few. And the quote from Spock in I think it's Wrath of Khan, he says the needs of the many outweigh the needs of the few or the one. And it just screamed Spock to me. And it's funny because I can't remember why we were talking about it in Discord, but we were talking about that line. And I was like, I think that's from classic literature. But then I looked it up and it's actually from Spock. It's a Spock line. I was so shocked. I thought it was like some like poignant line from some old book.
There's so many different versions of similar lines like that, like the needs of X, the needs of Y. It's always framed in some way.
I like that.
Yeah.
But Bernard calls Jules the greatest threat to the silo in 140 years.
Yeah, man. That's a lot.
Yeah.
Well done.
Juliet. Means like she's the greatest threat since the rebellion. And actually that goes back to what Billings' wife mentioned to him when he went home for dinner. She tells him that there's talk that Jules is laying the groundwork for a new rebellion.
Right.
He's like shocked, right? But they've been sprinkling things like this throughout the show.
That's true. I found myself wishing we could like spend some time in the cafeteria listening to people talk. I want to know what like everyone else, like just the gossip or like everyday chatter is like.
Yeah. I mean, they've just been putting like things, like little things here and there, like Hank talking about how there's unrest and asked if his kids can go, like his cousin's kids asked if it's safe for the kids to go to school kind of thing. And there was that bar brawl and all kinds of stuff. So I think they're trying to make it like apparent that, things are building. And then Billings' wife says that, there's been all these deaths all in a row and it's not normal. And I would think that I think that's why I didn't understand why Billings didn't really react harder when Jules tells him that she thought that Martin's and John's were murdered and that there were two cleanings that she thought were connected and this stuff. Because it sounds like from what Holston said is that his ability is to help keep the order and the stability in the silo, right? So what do you think Jules thinks about what they're accusing her of? Because she must know that it has to do with the book, right? And she must know
and the hard drive.
It has to do with the hard drive. But so she flashes back to Hanna's burial.
And how no one shows up.
And no one came to her funeral, and I guess it's because she killed herself.
That must be some kind of like mortal sin or something in the silo. Like, look at all we do for you, and everyone should be so grateful that they are alive. And
because he says something, right? If she had died of a heart attack, they would have all been there. Yeah, but Jules calls her mother and her family cowards.
Yeah,
and then she lets the rabbit go. So then they take us down to the down deep, and Shirley and Martha are talking, and they've already gotten word through Hank,
really quickly,
Hank, that Jules is being held and is gonna get sent out to clean. And Shirley says that Knox has told her that he's always felt that they would eventually punish them for the rebellion. So that tells us that Mechanical had to do with the last rebellion.
Yeah, that's what I thought too. I found myself questioning it though. I was like, do they just mean like punishing everyone? Are they assuming that everyone's being punished, or is it specifically Mechanical?
No, I kind of thought that the way that she said it,
and the way that people talk about Mechanical too, like it can't just be like the whole down deep thing. Like it seems like there's a bit of a prejudice that isn't just based on like class. Do you know what I mean? Like it's not their fault. I mean, they really get a lot of shit done down there. I can't imagine, but I don't know. People are like that, so.
And then I think, when Allison stops at a hostel in like the first episode, she like stops and she's like watching a play, and like it's actually a reenactment of the rebellion, and they show people in coveralls as the bad guys, and so I don't know if
that's a good point.
Yeah, so I don't know if that's meant to be Mechanical, but then you look at Mechanical people now, and I don't think they wear coveralls. Maybe Cooper.
I wouldn't
wears
either
coveralls. I know, yeah. It's like a sign of rebels. But actually, I think Cooper wears coveralls, so I don't know. Yeah, I don't know if that means that in lore, in theater or whatever, mechanical people are known to be where the rebels came from.
Right.
Okay, so then we come to the end of the episode, and this is where I was really confused because, and I think scenes got cut from here that would have helped add context because I don't know where Paul came from.
I don't either.
Because he's escorting Jules up. She's no longer I swear she was handcuffed.
I guess they made a stop on their way. I don't know where the cornfield is.
I think the cornfield is, so he had stopped Jules on 30, and then he said it's a bit of a walk,
he was
and
he took her
to the. I think the farms are in the mids. Yeah, but he was so he was at home having dinner with his wife.
Yeah,
but then they say Shirley and Martha say that they came over the radio about what happened. So I'm gonna guess that Paul heard it on the radio, and he went running to go meet them. And so she's not wearing handcuffs anymore, and he's helping her up, he has to assist her. So that's what makes me think that they cut something that should have been in there, because it's just missing a lot of context on why they're walking up the stairs. She's being escorted up in a very particular way. Sims is going first, and Paul is holding her up.
Yeah, and he seems angry at her.
Yeah.
Almost something else had happened.
They've talked already a little bit, right? She must have been asking. So yeah, I feel like they cut something out that they should have left in, because she's no longer wearing any handcuffs. One of the other Reddit mods was speculating that there must have been a scene where he was like, "Are these handcuffs really necessary?" And he advocates to have them taken off her,
right,
or something. Because that's gotta be it. Because I swear there were handcuffs on her, and why wouldn't they handcuff her right when she's
a known fleer,
And she's kicking everybody's ass.
I know, which was a little. I mean, I don't know, but oh my god, that punch to the gut!
Oh,
if someone did that to me, my organs would have exploded. And I know that TV always makes punches look like they can't do the damage they do, but literally, I heard that.
Yeah, I wouldn't be able to take a punch like that either.
No.
Although it was a really weird angle, too. He had to punch her from, a couple stairs up.
So it was, downward.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But point got across.
Painful. Yeah.
Oh, my God. And, Paul is just, he's, full on, his eyes are, bulging out of his head, right? He can't believe that he did that to her.
I know, but I found it weird that that's what he couldn't believe. And, she's literally saying, I did not say I wanted to go outside. Mm-hmm. He's like, oh, I know how you are. You're nuts. I am so sick of this. Let's keep walking. It just didn't seem... I thought maybe he was, putting on a show for Sims, and maybe he is.
No,
I hope so.
I mean, he was just... I don't know what... See, that's what I'm so confused about, because obviously they were talking, there was a conversation before they got to that point where he's upset with her, and saying that she only wants him to beat her Pack Robot.
Yeah, but when not it suits that kind of upset, not go out to clean.
Yeah.
I don't know.
But oh my God, the things that must be going through his head, right? I mean, he probably wants the job. He doesn't want her to go clean. He knows that he can't have the job because he has the syndrome. And
he doesn't want that job anymore.
Yeah.
After the end of this episode, I'd be
going home. I think that's why they established the dinner time scene with his wife. She says she tells him, she reveals to us that stress makes the syndrome worse, and so that's why Jules is able to get away from him, right? Is because the other stress that he's going through in that situation right there that causes his pain in his hand to get really bad, and then she pushes him aside. She grabs her bag from Sims and she gets on the railing, and then she jumps over the side.
Wait, and does that bag still have the hard drive in it?
Yes.
For real?
Yes.
Oh, Jesus Christ.
Sims takes it from
Those
her in the cornfield.
Are so stupid.
I know.
Really stupid.
When she jumped her over, I yelled at my husband. I was like, "Where did she get the bag?" And then I had to go back. I had to go back and watch. And okay. Sims just has it in his hand. And he's just casually carrying it up the stairs.
He's so useless. I maintain this. He's very creepy, but I just don't think he's very bright.
I don't think so. He's not. He doesn't have good reflexes either, because they show she pushes him into the railing, and she has enough time to hop on the thing, and he's still just holding the railing and looking at her.
How dare you? I know. And then she throws herself off the side, to be continued, of course. I'm assuming she's not dead.
But see, this kind of inaction is what happens when you make everybody else do your dirty work for you.
It's true.
He probably wouldn't be that useless if he would have just taken care of things himself.
Own your own reflexes first, sir. You know, like, you can't expect it to just, I don't know.
He's gone soft.
He has.
Him and his cushy leather jacket.
They just don't have problems often enough, maybe. Maybe it's the only threat they've had in 140 years.
Since you're a big Harry Potter fan, you know when she jumps on the railing and then jumps off? Okay, do you know what scene I'm talking about? It's when they flash back to, is it Godric?
Is it when Grindelwald like jumps out the window?
Yeah.
That's so funny. And because that's that posture, and it also reminded me of like Gollum. He's like
the squatting.
Yeah, no, I see that too. That's really funny.
Yeah, that was the first thing that came to mind when they show her, and then she jumps. I was like, oh my god, that's just like that.
So there's 2 more episodes left.
Yeah, next week is called
Maybe Jules will be dead and we'll just be introduced to a new person and they'll just like move on. It wouldn't like surprise me at all. I'd be like, okay. I would be
She's
really
in
sad,
medical. She's got all these broken bones.
Yeah. She could have really used like rappelling. That would be really handy in the silo. You could just like a hook on a rock and just kind of rappel down levels. She would be really good at that. Maybe she's got a rope in the bag.
Yeah,
or like some kind of parachute.
I
mean, a parachute could work in that place. I think there's enough height. It's pretty tall. Nobody tried that at home. I have no idea what I'm talking about.
Somebody joked on Reddit, and I was cracking up way too hard, is that Martha decided it was safe to go outside. She finally takes her first step, and Jules falls on her.
Oh my god. That's dark. I like that.
Yeah. We laugh about some kind of messed up stuff.
I'm the darkest person at my workplace. We're a very lovely, like, pay-through-8 farm school, so you can imagine. Like... Anyway.
Okay, so Wires from the Deep has been ad-free up until this point, but I'm going to do a little bit of promotion here since the podcast is produced and funded by my business, Pico's House, which offers comprehensive editing services for fiction authors. So I started Pico's House in 2014 at the encouragement of Silo series author Hugh Howey. I'd done a couple of beta readings for Hugh on shift chapters and for another book of his called The Shell Collector, and Hugh recommended me to Samuel Peralta, the editor of the popular indie sci-fi anthology series, The Future Chronicles. You know, Hugh has always been very supportive of indie authors, but he's also been very supportive of indie editors like me, which is amazing of him. Pico's House provides services to New York Times bestselling authors and Big Five publishers, as well as big names in the self-published community. If you have a manuscript that you're looking to develop, fine-tune, or polish for self-publication, I run a team of 18 editors, proofreaders, and beta readers, and together we provide a wide variety of editing services. We also help authors develop their stories and query packages for submission. To find out more, go to picoshouse.com. That's PIKKOSHOUSE.com. Please mention that you heard about Pico's House on Wires from the Deep. Okay, so that's the episode breakdown, but there's a couple other topics that we wanted to talk about. Kelly wanted to talk a little bit on maintenance and what their job is.
Yeah, I just thought it was funny that we were so confused by them and they were giving Jules like the side eye, in the hallway. And it turns out they're like the guys that like installed like cameras and stuff in people's homes. I was pointing out, like just like the wiring and
I feel like it's like kind of similar to janitorial in that there's probably an actual janitorial division, but there's like the fake janitorial people, which is like the monitors and the watchers kind of thing, right?
Right. It's so funny that they're called janitorial.
Yeah, but they must actually need maintenance people, right?
Definitely, yeah.
But then they also just have fake maintenance people who go install the cameras, Like maybe they have like a special team on maintenance that is like the covert janitorial people.
Was there someone like in the first or second episode where they got like a maintenance call that they hadn't put in or something?
Do you remember anything? I think it was when Juliet was moving into her apartment, right? Bernard was like, "Oh, you hear that clanking noise? Why don't you just call maintenance or something like that?" He made that weird comment that
Bernard.
But he made that weird tip about like making an enemy out of maintenance, right?
Yeah, just call maintenance.
And I think Billings mentions it too. He says if you don't call maintenance, your toilet will stop working or something.
But see, like that's what makes me think there isn't 2 divisions of maintenance, because like if you're calling maintenance for some dude to actually fix a fan in your house or whatever, like that guy. You're not going to make an enemy out of him.
Yeah, I don't know.
Reading too much into this again.
We're always going to be thinking back to you telling us, no, don't read into it too much.
It's actually really good advice. Like, having someone else say that is like, yeah, I mean, I know, but that's what we do a podcast for, right? That's the whole point of us.
Yeah, that's
the fun of it, I don't take it into my real life, I promise.
Oh, so one other thing I wanted to talk about. I don't think I've mentioned it before in the show. I've told Kelly about it. I've shown her pictures, but I started knitting in the first week of the show a silo blanket, and I'm almost done. I think I can finish it before the
it's really cool.
Episode.
It's really super cool.
Yeah, so
it's hard to show things on a podcast.
I know, especially when I'm not willing to show pictures yet. But I just wanted to mention it because it's coming. I need to like encourage myself in this way, because I don't know if people who don't knit probably don't realize that it's like there's like a mental game involved in finishing something that's really big. Mm-hmm. And I'm reaching like that point where I'm going crazy doing this one thing. So
I can imagine.
All right, so our audience question, and we can talk about this ourselves a little bit. How does Jules survive her jump over the wall? Kelly, you talked a little bit about parachuting and rope, and
I don't think those are actual. Those were not guesses. Those were just.
She's probably just going to jump onto a walkway right down below. It just so happens that.
I think you can do that. Like, she knows that place well enough. Like, you should be able to jump from a level, and then if you're lucky and kind of do it right, you could probably like. You know, I don't know. I'm picturing it in my mind.
It better not be that she just falls and grabs the railing and then pulls herself over.
Well, we learned maybe that's why they showed her like superhuman like hand strength earlier with that stupid rope, which is like dangling.
No, but she went over the railing once before and she couldn't pull herself up. So
she's been working out just in case it happens again.
Okay. She's been going to the silo gym.
Yeah, she's going up and down those stairs like a crazy person. She's probably fit as all get up. Yeah, I don't know. I hope she doesn't like land on a one of those canopy type of things.
I mean, she's been going from 60 to 6 to 30 to down below. She must be freaking tired by now.
I don't know.
Jules has really good cardio.
I was just like reading the transcript, and I hate how it ends with Paul panting, Juliet grunts. Paul groans. Juliet grunts. Sims groans. I'm like, this is too much. It's too much grunting and groaning.
I don't. Yeah, I
three people. Do they have to include that?
I'm still working on editing this thing because I go through and I edit because they don't all have all the people and scene cuts and stuff. So, yeah.
Anyway, sorry. If she doesn't live, I'm not doing this anymore. Just so you know, I quit.
Alrighty. Any final thoughts?
That was it. That was my final thought.
Okay. So we're going to be doing another giveaway this week. Chronicle World's Halfway Home by Future Chronicles series editor Samuel Peralta is based on Halfway Home, a novel by Hugh Howey. The premise of the novel is that AI-piloted colony ships carry human embryos to planets and then raise and train the humans before sending them out into the world. And this anthology, which features short stories by 15 different authors, comes out on Monday, June 19. And the series editor Samuel was gracious enough to offer one of our lucky listeners a copy. So just head on over to thedowndeep.net to find out how you can enter. Basically, we just want you to help spread the word about our podcast or leave us a review. And you just have to go to the website, and that's how you're going to log in your entries and tell us that you entered. And then I'll draw a winner from there. Thank you for joining us for another episode of Wires from the Deep. Be sure to follow or subscribe to us and tell other Silo fans that they can find us at wiresfromthedeep.com. If you're enjoying our discussions, please leave us a review on your podcasting platform of choice. Join the Down Deep Discord by going to thedowndeep.net and following the invite link to join discussions with other fans or to join our Friday night watch party. If you want to contact me and Kelly, you can leave a comment on Podbean or on one of our YouTube videos, or you can email us at crystal@thedowndeep.net. Tune in next week as we break down episode 9, The Getaway. And to all the dads out there, happy Father's Day. Bye, everybody.
Bye, everyone.